This conference will now be recorded.
Hello guys, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good evening. Let's wait for a couple of minutes, then we'll start. All right. So, anyone having any questions from the last class, guys? Any questions from
Sir,
the last class?
sir, can you explain a big int?
Begin.
Big int data type?
So, begin data type can hold integer value with a bigger data range. So, if you see the range of integer and if you see the range of big integer, the only difference is the range of big integer is much more bigger than normal integer. So obviously the size of big integer data type will be also bigger than normal integer type data. And
Oh, sir.
I can understand from where the question is coming. So if you
Yes,
see
sir.
the usage of bigint, I have used the bigint in factorial programming where the output was stored in a variable called output and the data type was begin. So if you
Yes, sir. Yes,
see,
sir.
so let me show you. Let me know once the screen is visible. Is my screen visible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So begin. What is the integer range? From this minus this to plus this. And a integer data type will occupy 4 bytes of data. or 4 bytes of space in the disk. Whereas the big int data type is having the range of minus this to plus this. Okay, and it will occupy 8 byte of storage in the disk. So as you can see, the space is more. So the space that will be occupied by a big int variable is more, but it can accommodate much more bigger data than integer. Okay, so let me show you the
Yes, sir.
problem. So if I change it to int only, okay, for factorial of 5, it will execute fine. For factorial 8 also, it will execute fine. For factorial 9, execute fine. Let's see for factorial 10. 10 also executed fine. Let's see for 11. 11 executed fine. 12, fine. 15, let's see. So there is an error. Okay. Arithmetic overflow error. So why we are getting arithmetic overflow error? Because the data we are trying to hold is too much for integer data
Int.
type. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if we change the data type to big int, then it can accommodate the space. Okay. And it can do the calculation. So if I change it to big int, so you can see, okay, let me
Yes,
change it
actually for
to
this,
varchar
even
32.
for 15 it is showing this issue. अच्छा where में
Varchar
पूछना है
32. Yeah. So
I
if I
think sir,
change
that
it
one
to
is
big int,
selected master.
right? So varchar is 32 and it is a big int. Now if I change it to int, let's see the program will execute or not. So it's getting an error, arithmetic overflow. That means it's unable to hold that amount of data. So if I change it to big int,
Sir, master is selected. I think therefore we are not getting the result.
no, master. So the database is relevant when we are taking the data from the database, but here we are not taking the data from
Okay.
database. We are
Okay.
having one
Yes.
variable, we are assigning the value. We are having another variable, we are assigning the value, and we are doing the calculation based on the variable values. We are not taking any value from
Okay.
table, right?
Table. Yes, sir.
So now you can see we can do the calculation. Let's say for 20, so 20 also possible, right? So that is why we have done using big int. Is it
Got
clear?
it, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So today we are going to learn about different aggregate functions. So I think we have already done about in function, right? Sorry, in clause. This one is already done, I believe.
Yeah.
So let's say this is my table, and if I want to see multiple records, or if I want to do check multiple uh, validations with column, we can use in, right? So if I want to see 1 to 3, where id 1 to 3, then we can use id in 1 to 3. That will give us the result. So in the opposite way, if I want to see which is not 1 to 3, so then we have not in,
Uh,
right?
it's basically the range, na?
It's the range, yes. Not exactly range. Range must be sequential in nature, but we can give whatever value we want. Let's say I want to see 2 and 5. That's it. I don't want to see 3 and 4. I just want to see 2 and 5. So that is also possible. So we can put the values that we want to see. Let's say 4 and 7, right? So 2 and 5, what are the values we are having? Okay, till 5 we are having. So let's say 1 and 3. So except 1 and 3, 2, 4 and 5. Not in 1 and 3. That means except 1 and 3 we are going to see the rest of the values. And for ID in 2 and 5, so we can see only 2 and 5. Whatever value we are going to give here, that is going to be reflected in the output. So it's like the same thing we can write like this, where ID equals to 2 or ID equals to 5. So if we write the same command, we can write it in both different ways. So instead of writing two uh, two expressions, we can simply write it in a single expression using in command.
But using all function, we can get only one value, na, between the 2 and 5. So we have
No,
to give the condition for that also.
so or is what? If this one is true, it will show the
Mm.
output. If this one is true, it will show the output. If both the condition is true, it will show the output. That is
But
the
we
or
are not
condition,
giving
right?
any condition there.
So ID equals to 2 for the value of 2. This condition will be satisfied, so it will be showing this value. For ID equals to 5, this condition will be satisfied, so this row will be shown.
But
Is it clear
in
to
the
everyone? Yes.
yeah,
Tell me.
but the first value is 2. Why the he going for the another value?
Mm, let me show you the chart of OR. This is the chart for AND operator and OR operator. This is OR operator, right? True, that means if this one is true. Or true, that means this one is true. If both the condition is true, OR operator will be true. If the left expression is true only and right expression is false, then also the entire OR operator will be true. If left expression is false and right expression is true, then also the entire expression would be true. OR expression would be false only if both the expression is false. So that is OR operator. So for this case, what are the values? 2. So for 2, this expression is true. That means this is the output. True and 2 equals to 5 false. So the entire expression will be what? True. So that is why it's showing this row for 2. The next one is false or true. So this one is false for 5. 5 equals to 2. false, 5 equals to 5 true. So the entire expression is true. So that is why it's showing 5. So is it clear
Can
about
you
in
Yeah,
sorry, can you
got it.
show that with and operator, Debabrata?
so for AND operator it will not give any output because there cannot be any row which is equals to 2 as well as which is equals to 5. Every ID is unique. So if I put AND operator, it will show 0 rows because there is no ID which is 2 as well as 5, right?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, let's move on. So now we are going to learn about aggregate function. Just give me a moment, guys. Huh? Okay, guys, I'm back. Where was I? Yeah. So let's understand about aggregate functions. Okay. So we have different aggregate functions. What is aggregate function? Aggregate functions are basically SQL system functions to perform some specific tasks on a column. Okay. So the aggregate functions can be done on a column only. Okay. So let's understand about different aggregate functions. First one is average. So what is this? Average function will return the average value of the entire row. Okay, how we can find the average? So it will take the sum of total. So let's say we are taking the average on this row. So average of ID. So if you find average of ID, it will perform sum of this, and this, and it will divide by 5. So that will give the average of that row, sorry, that column, right? So that is how we can get average value. So the next aggregate function we are having is count. So what it will give? It will return the number of rows. So if I find the count of ID, it will give me the output as 5, because the number of row it's having, it will give the count as a output. So let's say about max, returns the largest value of a column. So if I find max of ID, it will give me 5. Mean, so it will give the smallest value of the column. So if I get min of ID, it will give me 1. Sum returns the sum. So if we perform sum of ID, it will perform the sum of all the values and it will return. Len, len means returns the length of a text field. So let's say if I find the length of full name, it will calculate the length of this full name and it will return the length. Round, so rounds a numeric field to a number of decimals specified. So whenever we do round off, that round off can be done using the round function. Okay, so that's about these aggregate functions. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's see with the example.
So could you give me some example so that it can be
Yes,
concise?
yes. So let's try to see count function. Select count star as row count value from percent table. So as we know, the percent table is having total this number of rows, right? Now if I perform this count star function, then it will give me the row count simply. So count star is doing the counting of row and as row count value, because I want to label the output as row count value. So count star is giving the total count of rows. Why we are using star? Because we are calculating total number of rows. So that is why we have given star instead of column name. So we can give a simple column name as well. Okay. So we can give column name which is not null in nature. That column name will also work here. Okay. Now let's see about average function. So in average function, we are taking the example of human resource employee pay history. So here we have a column called rate. So this is the salary, right? Now, if I want to see what is the average salary, so the function we will be using
So
is
it is an
average of
interview.
rate. Yeah.
So does it detect in automation
Sorry.
without putting? Yes, I'm saying that does it detect or in automation? We just count and break it, stir, break it close.
So we don't call it automation because this is a
Okay.
function given by SQL Server itself. So, and whenever you are
Okay.
doing manipulation in a database, so this is a part of
Yes, sir.
manipulation only. So we are using a
Oh,
database for these features only so that we can do the manipulation very efficiently using this kind of query and functions, right? So that is why database is
okay. So
formed.
we don't have to. Yes, sir. We don't have to
Sorry.
mention the name of the column, right, sir?
We don't have to mention the name of the column. No, we do have to mention the name of the column. So I want to find the
Okay.
average of what? Average of this column, right?
Yes, sir.
So on which column I want to perform the function? I want to see the average of the rate column. So if I run this, it will give me the average of the entire column. Now, let's say I want to
Okay.
find the maximum rate. So if I run max rate, this will give me the maximum value. Let's say I want to find the
Then,
minimum rate. Yeah, tell me.
sorry to interrupt one question. See, when using the count function, we have used all the star sign.
Mhm.
So why is that? And is it giving the cells count or is it the row?
It's giving the row count. Instead of star, you can give
Hmm.
business entity ID as well.
Oh,
All
we
right.
can give. Okay, okay. I was
Yeah.
getting confused there.
That will give you the same output.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. And one more
So let's
question, like here in
hmm,
average function, why are we using rectangle brackets for human resource, select from source?
this is optional.
That's optional. Okay, then it's fine.
It will run without this
Is there any
bracket.
difference does it make?
No, no difference.
Okay, okay, fine, fine.
All right. To get the minimum value, we can run the minimum function. This will give you the minimum value. If you want to find the sum, then sum of rate. Now let's say you want to see the length of the name column. Okay. Now if you want to see the length of first name column, so you can simply run this. It will give you the name length. So you can validate it. Let's put the first name and then the length of the name. So this is the name, this is the length. This is the name, this is the length. So length function is actually calculating the length of first name column values and then they are putting it here. All right. Now,
Sir,
yeah, tell me.
sir, can I use maximum max or length both in a single query?
Sorry, can you come again?
Can I use maximum and length both in a single query?
No, because maximum will give you values on top of integer or numeric data, and length function will work on character data.
Okay, sir, got it.
So we can use where clause na after some rate and length. That is possible. Is that possible?
I didn't get your question. Can you come again?
Actually, if you want to use both the function in one execute, means if you want to execute one sum and length both together, so can
Mhm.
we use where or any other things so that it can come in
So
one
these functions, sum, max, min, these are not compatible with these character function. So there are incompatibility issue.
So,
Yeah, tell me.
sir, what if we put length function inside maximum function?
Mm, so this is the sum, and you want to find the length of it.
No, sir. If we put length function inside maximum function.
Length function inside maximum function. This one.
Yes, sir.
So max of rate, and you want to find the length of the output. Let's see. Ideally, it should work. Yeah, the output length is 6.
Okay, sir.
All right. So if I want to find the length, then the function is length of or len of column name. Okay. Now let's say this is my table, and this rate column is having differences in precision. Someone is having 4 decimal value, someone is having 2 decimal value. Now if I want to round it off for 2 decimal values, then the function is round, then column name, comma, the number of precision length. So I want to round it off with 2 precision or 2 decimal value. So this is the function. So if I run it, so the original length, so I have selected rate column as well. So the original length was this, or the original value was this. They have rounded it to this. The original value was this. They have rounded it to this. The original value was, let's say, this. They have rounded it to this. So this is the round function to perform the round operation or round up operation.
One question here in the rounding off. If we
Mhm.
put round off as 0, okay, like the whole numbers, it is coming as
Mhm.
0.00. Is it possible to remove that?
So you need to round it to
Huh.
zero decimal points.
Huh.
If you round it to 0 decimal points, it will come like this.
Huh. So is it possible to remove that dot 00 from everything?
So,
Just asking.
so, so you can simply do one thing. If you don't want to round it to 2 length as well, okay.
Hmm.
So if you don't want to round it to 2 length as well, do one simple thing. Convert this column as integer,
Yes, sir.
right? So this is your original value, this is the integer value without point, and this is the roundup value.
Okay, okay, okay. Got it.
Sir, could you execute the length function and show me? Length,
Length,
len.
mm, we can find the length as well of, of rate.
No, from the first name, the above code.
Here is the length. So length of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it took 5 positions. Why is this? Because we have taken the
Because
numeric value. That is why it's not working properly.
Could you
Length
show
function
I
is a
think
character function.
could you show the character function, the above code, the first name one, the example
Hmm.
one?
Hmm. Yes. This will not work with integer.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So is
The
it
sum
clear to
function
everyone?
shows the total sum, right? The sum function
Yes,
of
some
the range.
function will give you the total sum.
Okay.
Count includes null values also, Debabrata.
No. So as we discussed at the very beginning of this course, null is a special character and null doesn't participate in different functions. Let's say select 1 plus 1, it should give us 2. Select 1 plus 0, it will give us 1. Select 1 plus null, ideally it should give at least 1, right? But it is giving null. So any operation with null will not give you a correct output. That is why we have a special character in where clause for checking null. Instead of equals to, we have is null, or not equals to, we have is not null.
Because
Right?
it's undefined function.
Because this is a special character.
Hmm.
Okay.
What if we wanted to find out the unique values in the count?
If you want to find the unique values of the count, good question. Let me take up this. Unique values of what?
Unique
Unique
values.
date. So unique value of what? Let's take persons table. Person dot person. Okay. So let's say you want to find the unique first name. Okay. So you need to write what? Distinct first name, right? So this will give you the distinct first name. So that is what you are asking.
Yes, yes, yeah. But we
And
wanted
if
to
you
know the
want to,
count.
if you want to know the count of it,
Yes, yes.
this is the count. Count of distinct first name from person table. Is it clear? Guys,
Clear, sir.
is this clear to everyone?
yes,
Okay.
yes, it is
Clear.
clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
example of create view. So this transaction control language is already done. All right. So I think many of you guys asked me the difference between um, delete and truncate at the beginning of the course, right? So what is truncate? When can we use truncate? Which category of command it is? So, so difference between delete and truncate. So truncate is a DDL command. First of all, DDL command means data definition language, and delete is a DML command or data manipulation language. Now, what truncates do and what delete do? So whenever we are running a truncate command, okay, then all the data of the table will be dropped. Okay, so where clause is not supported. So like when we perform delete function or delete operator or delete command, then we can use where clause, right? So delete from table name where condition, right? So this is our typical delete statement. Now in case of truncate table, we cannot use where clause. So a truncate statement will look like truncate table name. So we cannot use any where clause. If we try to use any where clause, it will throw error. So it's not supported in truncate command. So if we remove the delete, if we remove the where statement from delete, if we remove the where clause from the delete statement, then both of the statement will effectively do the same thing, removing all the rows from the table. Then
Yes.
in that case also, what is the difference? The difference is delete command will perform logging for every row. So whichever row is deleted by this statement, it will log everything in the log file. Okay. But for truncate, no entry will be there in the log file of the database. So truncate table will not perform any logging, but delete operation will perform logging in the database log file. Now simply we can understand that truncate table is doing less work because it is not taking the overhead to writing the transaction information in the log file. So truncate table will be faster operation because no logging is happening here. At the same time, delete operation will be slower because it is deleting one row and after that it is logging that transaction information in the log file. So delete operation is doing the double work. So delete operation will be slower. Okay. So as there is no logging that is happening for truncate table, we cannot perform any rollback operation. So as we understand about commit and rollback, right? So how the rollback is actually happening? Rollback is actually happening by reading the log file and performing the undo operation from the log file, right? So as there is no entry in the log file for truncate operation, rollback cannot be performed. So once we perform a truncate table, Or if we perform like begin truncate table rollback, that will not work because truncate table is not logging anything. So rollback is not possible for truncate table command. Okay. Now let's see the differences. Delete table supports where clause. Truncate table does not support where clause. Truncate table is used when we need to delete all the records from the table. Delete supports rollback operation where truncate does not. Truncate table is a faster operator than delete operator. So is it clear the difference between truncate and delete?
Basically, truncate it only delete the data of the table,
Mhm,
and in the delete operation, it's same like the data only,
mhm. Yes. So
and
if
in the drop
both the operator is dealing with data only.
drop is deleting the table also.
So drop will delete the table. Here we are not discussing about drop table. We are discussing about delete table and truncate table.
No. I'm just like asking.
Mhm,
So truncate, delete, and drop. Truncate and delete is basically same, but just where clause is not supported the truncate,
mhm. Yes.
and drop file we can use when we want to drop the table and the data also.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Right. So is it clear about the difference between drop? Sorry, is it clear about the difference between delete and truncate?
Yes, sir.
It's clear.
Right. All right. So till now we have learned about variables, right? So variable is what? Variable is a way to store a data temporarily. So temporary storage of a data is a variable, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 So what if we need to store a table altogether? If we need to store a table itself, then we cannot use variable. Variable will be used to store a particular data, right?
Yes.
When we need to store a table entirely, then we can use temporary table. So temporary table, creation of a temporary table is exactly the same. For variable, we need to start the name with @. For temporary table, we need to start the name with hash. So we are creating a temporary table. The command is exactly the same as creating a normal table. The only difference is the name will start with a hash. Okay. Now the question is, what is the scope of the table? Scope means where the table will exist. The existence of the table will be limited within the session only. Likewise, for variable, the existence of the variable is within the execution only. So in the same way, the existence of a table, or sorry, existence of a temp table will be within the session only. What is session? I have opened a session. So this is a session. So I have opened a new query. This is a new session. I have opened another new query. This is a new session. Session or connection, right? So you see 56, 53, 55. So these are session numbers or connection numbers. So these numbers we see in SP Hutu, right? So if we run SP underscore Hutu, so we have learned about SP Hutu where? When we learned about monitoring. So from 1 to 50, right? These are system sessions. After 50, we are having user sessions. So my session ID is 55. So you see 55. The status is runnable. The login is my login. From where the connection is coming? From my laptop. What is the database that the session connected? AdventureWorks. So it is running a select into command. This is the CPU time, this is the disk time, etc. and etc. So the existence of a temporary table is only within the session. If I'm creating a table here and I'm trying to search the temporary table here, it will not show me the table details. It will show the table details only within this session. Okay, so let's see how we can create a temp table. Very simple. This is the create command. Let's create it under test database. Okay, so let's execute.
Then is there any advantage for this?
Yeah, so what is the advantage of having a variable?
Acha, okay, okay, okay. Hmm.
So we
Yeah.
can store the data temporarily, right? So that is a temporary storage of a data. The same way this is a temporary storage of a table. So we created
And
this table.
hmm.
Yeah, tell me.
And if we save this session and again reopen this, will the table be available?
When we save this session, we only save the lines that is written in the session.
Huh.
Saving the session means that will save the query of the session. That will not
Hmm.
save the objects that is created within the session.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay. So I've
Hmm.
created this temp table. So let's try to see the table. Select start from hash temp, right? So let's see the table. Yes, the table is existing, right? Now let's insert into the table values. CID is, let's say, 1, name is ABC, mm, age is 20, mobile is, let's say, 1 2 3 4 5. So these are the values. Let's insert the table. One row affected. Let's see the table now. I have one row in the table. Now I have created the table. I have inserted value in the table. I have selected the table. That means the table is existing. Now if we try to see the table within the database, there is no table called test or hash temp. Sorry, not test, hash temp, right? So there is no table in hash temp. So where the table got created? So as we discussed at the very beginning when we were learning about different databases, we learned about system databases, right? So tempdb. So tempdb will be storing those temporary tables. Okay. So as you can see, temporary table is shown here. Now there the name is different. The name is not like this. Why the name is different? The reason is whenever we are creating the temporary table, the SQL server is binding it with this particular session. That is why they are naming it differently so that it can uniquely identify with this session. So the unique identification with SQL only. Now, so this is my table. This is my temp table that got created in tempdb, right? Now, if I try to see the table from a different session, It's saying invalid object name temp. But if I perform the same operation here in the session, it's showing me the data. But from a different session, it's not showing me the data. So that is why we say the scope of a table is within the session. All right. Now the question is, can we delete temp table? Yes. So there are two ways to delete a temp table. First is to run drop command, and second one is close the session. So either I can close this session, okay. If I close this session, my temp table will be removed automatically, or I can use drop table command to drop my temp table. Okay. So whenever I'll close the session, let me copy this thing first. So whenever I'm closing this session, my temp table is dropped. So let's see. Let's do a refresh. See, the temp table is gone. That means the existence of the temp table is only within the session. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now the problem is I'm having a table. Okay, I can insert value into the table, but what if I want to access the table from this session as well as from some other session? So from this session it is not allowing me to access, right? Because this is a temporary table. But what if I want to access the table, the temporary table, from this originating session as well as from other sessions? Then we have a feature called global temp table. Okay. So what is global temp table? Global temp table will do exactly the same. Okay. Just a moment, guys. So global temp table will work exactly the same. The only difference is the table can be accessed from other sessions as well. Now, how we can declare a global temp table? So the syntax is exactly the same. The only difference is we need to use double hash. If we use double hash, that will declare a temp table as a global temp table. Okay. So let's create a global temp table. Created. Let's see the global temp table. I can see. Let's insert a value into global temp table. I've inserted. Now let's see the table from here. Yes, I can see. Now, if I try to see it from other session, unlike temp table, it will allow you to see the temp table if we are declaring it as a global temp table. From another session, it will allow you to see the data. Let's update the data here. Let's say 2 and XYZ. So I'm updating the data. Can I see the data here? Yes. Can I see the data here? Yes. Can I see the data here? Yes. So I can change the value wherever I want. So the table may be created from one session. Okay. But we can do operations from any other session. Now the question is, what is the existence or what is the scope of the table, or till when the table will be there? Because as we know, it is a temp table. It is a global temp table, right? So if I go to system database, temp DB, do a refresh, here we have the global temp table. Okay, so now what, till when the table will exist? So here we can do all the operations: select, insert, update, delete, all operation we can do. So a temp table can be removed, or the existence of temp table will be till we run drop command, or we close the originating session of the global temp table. What is originating session? So from which session the table has been created. So if I close this session, that doesn't matter. I can still see the table. The table is still present. If I remove this session, that doesn't matter. The table is still present. But let me copy it here. But this was my originating session, right? Now, if I close this originating session, this will drop the temp table. See, invalid object. Why? Because we have closed the originating session of the table. That is why the table got dropped. Okay. So the table got dropped. Is it clear about global temp table? Any questions?
Yes, clear.
Anyone having
But
any questions?
No, sir.
when we are going to use this table, means
When
what
you
is the
have
use
a
of?
requirement, when you have a requirement to give access of the temp table throughout the instance, so you can, this table doesn't belong to a particular database. Okay, you need to understand this. You need to understand the flexibility of the table. So you have created the table in AdventureWorks. You think that, right? But let's try to access the table from some other database. Let's see, from LMS project. Still you can access the table. Let's try to access the table from some other database, demo database. So the table is not bound to a particular database. The table is accessible throughout the instance. So within the instance, whatever the database is, you can access the table. So this is a very big feature. So the use case is multiple, but this feature you need to remember that if you have any such requirement where you need to create a table, store a table, and you need to pass the information to other databases, right? So you need to pass the information to other databases, then you can use of global temporary table. Is it
And
clear?
one question here.
Yeah, tell me.
Let's say we created a global temp table, okay, and
Mhm, mhm,
the data now we want to convert it to a permanent table.
mhm.
Is it possible?
So you cannot directly convert the temporary table into permanent table. You can create a permanent table and select the data from the temporary table to perform the insert operation. So insert into original table name,
Mm-hmm.
then select start from global temporary table. That's what you need to do. You need to create a original table. Let's say create table this. Okay, so I'm creating it under test database, let's say. So create table this, then execute this.
Okay.
That's it. Then you can see the original table.
Okay. Got it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, could you repeat that again? The conversion.
No, it was not a conversion. It was, if you want to save the data, this is a temporary table, right? Now, if you want to
Yeah.
save this data permanently, what you need to do? You need to create a table, permanent table with the same structure, and then you need to perform the insert operation. Insert into permanent table, then I'm selecting all the information from global table. That's it.
Okay. Got it.
There is no conversion here. It's a
Okay.
three-step process. Create table, insert data into the table, and then see the data from the permanent table. That's it. So till now, is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now let me ask you one question. Whatever query we have written till now, so that the query we are writing repeatedly, right? Now, if I tell you that um that yesterday we have learned how to get the factorial of a data, right? Now, can you give me the factorial of a data now? So you should be having the query saved in your file somewhere, right? And then you need to pull out the query, and then you need to paste it here. Then you need to execute the query. Then only you will get the data, right? Now the question is, what if we want to save our logic within the database itself, right? Because we are managing a database, there is no there should not be any manual intervention, right? So instead of saving the query outside of the database, what is the way to save the logic or save the query within the database? Now, what are the different type of query we have? We can read database, or we can perform some small operations, or we can do some large logic implementations, right? So we have basically these three type of programming. One is we are only selecting data from a table. The select query may be simple, the select query may be very complex, right? But select is a way to do. So how we can save a select query? The way to save a select query is view. Using view, we can save a select query within a database. How we can save a small operation within a database? The way is function. Now how we can perform, or how we can save a large logic, a complex code, a complex piece of code. For example, let's say the factorial, right? So how we can save a complex piece of code in database? The way is stored procedure. Now, using view, it can only perform select, or it can only save select query. What is function? It can take inputs and it can provide output after calculation. Now what is stored procedure? It can perform select, insert, update, BDL, DML, etc. Right? So from the categorization, you can understand that select can be saved by view. Small operations can be saved using function, and stored procedure is a way where we have all the possible flexibility, right? Now let's see an example of create view. So this is my query. So this is one of my query. This query is what? This query was the example of inner join, right? So this is my query. What is the way to save this query? So this query is not saved in the database, right? So how can we save this query? So we can save this query using view. To create a view, we need to write create view, view name as. This syntax will allow you to save this query in the database with the name of join view. Okay, so let's see if we have the view already in the database. No, there are no view. So let me create this join view. Done. So let me refresh. So here you can see join view got created. So let's see what's in there. So we can see the definition. So here you can see. So these are some system informations. You can discard all these things. So this is what you can see. This is my query, which is saved in this form of view. Right now, how we can execute this? Instead of executing the entire query, we can simply write select star from the view name. That will basically give you the same output. So if we run select star from view name, that will basically execute this thing in the background. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any questions on view?
So this is like we are creating our own templates and saving, kind of.
Yes. Yes. We are basically creating our own template and we are saving it. Now let's see about how to drop a view. Drop view, view name. If I drop it, view got dropped, right? Now, if I see it, no object called join view because the view got dropped, right? So we can not execute it. Now to again execute it, we need to create it. Now the next question is how we can alter a view or change a view. Simple. alter view name. Let's say I just want to see candidate ID, employee ID, and employee name. Candidate name I don't want to see. So the initial definition was, sorry, I did not created the view. Let me create the view first. This is my view. Okay. So the view structure is this. Now let's say I don't want to see this column. So let me remove this column and perform a alter operation. Once I altered this view, then my view definition got changed. Now the latest view will be shown. So to change the definition of a view, we need to use alter view command. So to create a view, alter view, and drop view. So which type of command it is? Which category of command it is?
DML.
Oh,
Modification.
It's a DDL, I am guessing.
It's a DDL command. So data definition language is not necessarily about creating tables only or altering tables only or dropping tables only. Any database object that we create, that comes under DDL command. So creating a view is basically creating a database object, right? So whenever we are creating a database object, that will fall under DDL type of commands. So is it clear about view?
Yes, sir. Sir, how to add more data in the existing column?
How to add more data in existing column? I didn't get your question.
That means yes, means how to create a columns in the existing existing table.
How to create or how to add a column in an existing table.
Yes,
So
sir.
can anyone
Suppose we
answer
have a
that?
three column.
Can anyone answer this question?
We can use a alter table command.
Alter table, table name, add column, column name, data type of the column, and column type. Column type could be null or not null. That will allow you to add a column in an existing table. So we have already learned about it. We have the class notes
Yes,
for it. You can refer them.
yes, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, definitely. Thank you, sir.
All right. Next. So alter view is done. Next is function. So how we can create a function? So for function, you need to understand two things. A function will take one value as input and it will return one value as output. Okay. So a function will take one value, not one or multiple. Okay. One or multiple value as input and it will return one value as output. So it will not return multiple value as output. It will return only one value as output. So it may take one or more than one value as input and it will return one value as output. So taking input is optional. So this one is optional. But returning the value is mandatory. Okay. So when you are running or creating a function, the idea is the function must serve a purpose. So which will make sure that the function is serving its purpose? Returning an output. Returning an output is making sure that the function is serving its purpose. Okay. All right. So let's see what is the syntax of create function. The starting syntax is create function, then my function name. This is my starting bracket and closing bracket. So this is basically the basic structure of a function. So this is the function name, and a function name must have a starting bracket and closing bracket after the name. Okay. Then the return type. As I said, return of one value is mandatory in function. So in the definition, we need to mention which type of data will be returned by this function. Okay. And then we'll start with as. Likewise, we did for view. In the same way, we'll start with as. So these three line is clear to everyone. Create function, function name, then opening bracket, closing bracket, then returns data type. That means which type of data it will be returning. Then
Character
as.
type. Yes,
So
clear.
is it clear? These three line is clear, right? Okay. So then we are going to start the definition by writing begin, and we are going to end the definition by writing end. So this is the starting of the block and this is the end of the block, right? Now in this body, we are returning this string hello world. So as this part is mandatory, whatever we write in a function, the last line must be always return command. Okay. And which type of data we are going to return? This type of data. So is this definition clear to everyone? And we can see function where under programmability, functions, scalar functions. So here we have hello world function. Do we have hello world function here? No. All right. So is this clear?
Yes, sir.
So let me create the function. Function got created. Let me refresh the folder. Where is it? Hello world function, right? Now how we can see the function? Select function name. So I've selected the function name and the function returned me this value. That is why I can see this string. Is it clear? So here is my definition. If I want to see the definition, you can see this is the definition that is saved as a database object, right? So this part you can skip. This is the definition you have. So when you want to execute the definition, the way to execute is select then function name. That will call the function and the function definition will be executed. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now what is the way to alter the function? Alter function. Let's say instead of world, I want to write students. So alter function name, return varchar begin. This is the string I want to return. Let's alter the function. Done. Let's run it. So instead of hello world, it's showing hello students because I have altered this function or I have changed the definition. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, next thing. How we can drop a function. Drop function name. Yes. So the command we need to write is drop function, then function name. Now the question is, in the case of dropping the function, why we are not using this brackets? So that is we are going to learn in a moment. In the next topic, we are going to learn about the functionality. So see, the function is not here anymore. So now we are going to see what is the purpose of these brackets. All right. So let's see the next example. So this bracket is used to take the input parameter or the parameter that the user is going to pass to the function. Okay. So this function is taking three parameters or three inputs. Okay. And they are saving those inputs in three variables or three input variables. So this is variable number 1, integer type. This is variable number 2, integer type. This is variable number 3, integer type. So these are not only normal variables, these are input variables. So whenever we are calling a function, we should be providing these values to the function. Okay. So the return type is integer as begin, and we are returning what? Let's say we are returning a plus b plus c, or let's say we are returning a into b plus c. Okay. So let me drop the function and create the function here. So create function name. We are taking three inputs from the user as an input parameter. We are saving these inputs in these three variables. The return type is integer as begin, and I'm returning this to the user. So let's create it. Function created. Let's see. Yes, this is my function. Now how I can execute it? Select function name. Now I need to provide three inputs as the function requires three input parameter. So this is input 1. So this 10 is getting assigned to this variable. The next is 5. 5 is getting assigned to this variable. Next is 20. 20 is getting assigned to this variable. Okay. So if I run this, the output is this. So a into b, that is 10 into 5, 50 plus c, 20. 50 plus 20 is 70. Now if I pass, let's say 1 into 5, 1, 5 and 20, then the output would be 25. 1 into 5 is 5 and 5 plus 20 is 25. So depending on the input values, we are getting the output. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
All right. So task to you guys. Using this function, create a function change Celsius to Fahrenheit. This is the formula. So whatever Celsius value you are getting or you are providing, you need to perform this formula to get the respective Fahrenheit value. Okay, so this is the formula. Now you need to implement this using a function. A function would be taking one input. The input would be Celsius value. The return type would be a decimal value, right? Decimal data type. Then in return, you should be performing this calculation. So please write down this code and let me know for any questions. I'll give you guys 10 minutes to write down the code. Okay. All right. What is the update, guys? I got one code from Aryan. What about others? Hello, guys.
Sir, I have done, but my meeting session not connected from laptop. That's why I'm not able to showing my code.
Okay. Okay. Let's see the result. Okay. Now this is a code from Aryan. Create function name. So Fahrenheit F to C. No, it should be the opposite. Celsius to Fahrenheit. Okay. So let's say C to F. The Celsius value we are taking. The Celsius could be in decimal points as well. So we need to give a decimal data type, which is real or numeric, whatever. Return type would be also decimal, so real. As begin, and now we are returning what? Whatever we have given multiplies with 1.8 plus 32. This is my program. Done. Now I need to see. So select dto dot c2f. The input I want to provide is, let's say, 25.4. So this is the respective Fahrenheit value. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Now the question is, this type of functions are called as scalar functions. As you see, it's listed under scalar valued functions. So this type of functions are called as scalar functions. Which type of functions? That return
Scalar
a
function.
single value. A single value or a scalar value, right? Now, when we have a need to return a table as an output, right? When we need to return the table as an output, then the type of function would be called as table valued function. So let's see. This is a simple structure of a table value function. Let's understand about the structure. Uh, create table. To create table, this is my table name. Let's say dbo dot test function. I'm taking one input as input parameter. Now the return type is table. Unlike the return type was a single data type, we are returning a table. So the point to understand is every table valued function, the return type would be table, right? Then we are writing as, then we need to write begin, and end, and we are returning what? Select star from employee where ID. So do we have employee table here? Which table do we have? Let's say select star from customer. Select star from customer where ID is equals to the given value. Let's create the table. Uh, right. So for table value function, the structure is little different. Create function, function name. So like scalar function, we are taking the input parameter. The return type we are writing returns table type data, right? And we are writing as. Then we are starting the program. So what is the program? We are returning all the customer details, or we are returning the customer details where ID is less than equals to the given value. Okay. Now this function is created. Now if I go to table value function, then I can see this function is created. Now how I can call this function? Select star from function name. Within brackets, I have 2. So 2 is the parameter I'm giving. So what it's happening is, whenever I'm calling this function and passing this value is getting assigned to here, and then it's running the query select star from customer where ID is less than equals to 2. That is when it's giving me the output. So it's returning this output, and we are seeing this output using the function. Is it clear about table valued function? The only difference is, instead of returning a single value, it is returning a table value. That's the only difference. Is it clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
So the alter function, drop function is exactly the same. So I'm not repeating that. All right. So let's learn about the last piece of topic today, which is just a moment, guys. Which is stored procedure. Okay. Let's see how we can save a stored procedure. So stored procedure is a way using which we can do everything, right? So select view would be for only select operations. Functions will be when we want to take one value and return one value, right? But in case of stored procedure, it's basically a type of object. Within the object we can write down the code and we can do all different type of work. So we have all the flexibility in stored procedure. Okay, so if you want to do insert operation, you can do, you can update, you can create a temp table, you can do whatever you want in a stored procedure. You can write down the entire logic and wrap it up in a stored procedure. Okay, so the syntax is create procedure, the procedure name, okay, as begin, then my piece of code, then end. So if I write this, so I can see it under stored procedure. So the stored procedure name is hello world, right? So how to execute a stored procedure? The syntax is exec or execute, whatever. Okay, exec procedure name. If I run this, so I'm getting hello world. So I've done this operation, right? That is why when I'm executing it, I'm seeing it. So one thing to understand, it is not returning the value, it is directly implementing the command. Like for function, it was not implementing anything, it was returning the value to someone else, right? But in procedure, it's whatever is written here, it's doing right there. Okay, let's say I want to alter the procedure and write hello students. Okay, I'm altering it. So let's execute it. So it is writing hello world as well as hello students. So whatever code is written within a procedure, it's implementing it right there. Okay, so that is how we can create and alter a procedure. To drop a procedure, simple drop proc, or we can write drop procedure, then procedure name. Okay, now let's do one thing. Let's write down a code. Okay, all right, let's write down a logic. The logic is, I have a function. The function name is Celsius to Fahrenheit. So if you see Celsius to Fahrenheit, this function will take the Celsius value as input and it will return the respective Fahrenheit value. Now I'm writing a logic and writing it in a stored procedure. Create procedure, procedure name. So the procedure will give you the current field or real field of the temperature. Okay, so in our Google app, you see that what is the current temperature and what is the real field, right? So we are trying to implement the logic, or we are trying to trying to implement same kind of logic in this code. So create procedure, procedure name, then this is my input parameter. So I'm taking Celsius as an input parameter and the input parameter is of real time. So create procedure, procedure name, this is my input parameter as begin. So I'm taking the Celsius or current temperature in Celsius. Then I'm declaring feel like. Feel like is another variable which is real in nature. initializing the variable with 1. Then I'm declaring another variable called Fahrenheit. This is also real type, assigning the value as 1. Now set feel like equals to current temperature plus 2. So let's say this is the feel like formula. What is feel like formula? So the formula is whatever the current temperature, I'll add 2 with it, and that will be the feel like temperature. Okay. So that is the formula of feel like. Now what we are doing is we are printing the current temperature is Celsius, and the real feel like temperature is feel like. So the current Celsius value plus 2 is feel like. So current temperature is this in Celsius, real feel like temperature is this in Celsius, and then we are calling the function, and the function is converting feel like what? The feel like value that we are getting, right? So the current temperature plus 2 is having the feel like temperature. So we are passing the feel like temperature in Celsius to the function, and the function is giving us the respective Fahrenheit value of that feel like temperature. So we are assigning this value to Fahrenheit, and then we are printing the real feel like temperature in Fahrenheit is the value we are getting from the function. Okay. Now let's create the function, create the procedure. Okay, the procedure already exists. Let's create in a different name. Already a database real field 1. Let's draw it. Done. Now let's call the procedure. So exec procedure name 35 is the current temperature in Celsius. So if I run this, so Celsius got assigned with this value 35. Feel like is 1, Fahrenheit is 1. So feel like temperature is 35 plus 2. 37 is feel like. So I'm printing current temperature is Celsius, the input value, current temperature 35. The real feel like temperature is 35 plus 2. That is how we got the real feel like, right? So current temperature is 37 in Celsius. So current temperature in Celsius. Real feel like temperature in Celsius. So next is, now I'm converting the feel like temperature into Fahrenheit using the function. So this function is again created by me only. If I see the function definition, let's see the function definition. Yeah. So it's taking Celsius as an input and it's providing the output by converting it to Fahrenheit, right? So I'm simply calling this function providing the feel like temperature, which is 37, and it's converting 37 into respective Fahrenheit value, which is 98.6, and assigning it to this Fahrenheit variable one more time, right? So this is Fahrenheit variable, which I declared initially. So this Fahrenheit temperature is holding the Fahrenheit temperature of feel like. Now I'm printing the real field temperature in Fahrenheit is this. All right. Now I've updated these two things in the output. Let me alter the procedure. All right. So let's see the real field of 30 degrees. So current temperature in Celsius is 30. the real field like temperature is 32, and the real field like temperature in Fahrenheit is 89.6. So is it clear about stored procedure and how we are taking input parameter and how the entire logic can be implemented in a stored procedure?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear to everyone or any questions? Guys, any questions or is it clear?
So is it clear? But if I face any problems, sir, I will let you know.
Yeah. So I have given you guys many examples. Okay. So calling function from a function is possible. There's an example of how to call a function from a function. So there are some differences. So just give me 2 more minutes, I'll be done. So from function, we can call a function, but from function, we cannot call a stored procedure. Okay. So this is a limitation of a function. From a stored procedure, we can call a function. From a stored procedure, we can call another stored procedure. So the flexibility is there for stored procedure. But for function, we cannot call a stored procedure from a function. All right. So functions are, I would say, lightweight in nature and have limited flexibility, but stored procedure is having full flexibility. All right, guys. So I'll be passing the class notes to Sanchita. Please go through the class notes and do practice the codes and let me know for any questions. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
I
All
have
right.
sent you.
Thanks, everyone. Yeah, tell me.
Hi, Sayed. I have sent you a program in chat, मतलब code in chat, but it was not executing. It's getting error. Will you look at that?
Your spelling of create is incorrect. CREATE, create function. So there is a E missing.
CREAT. Okay, okay. CRE. Okay, I
And you
will.
have given space in the function name. You cannot give space in the function name. So you need to remove the space in between the function names.
Created function dbo dot. I have removed that c to f and at the rate serial. Return real as begin. Return and same. Can I share my screen? If you can see that.
Yeah, sure. Please share your screen.
Okay. Yeah, this one.
Create function, function name, return, not return, returns. There will be S.
RETURS returns real.
RETURNS.
RETU. That was U.
RETURN. Yes. So create function, function name, returns. Then please select the code and click on execute.
Yeah, it's
Then
done.
write the function name. You didn't give the
Oh,
function name. dbo.c2f. Only the function name. Only C2F. No, no, no. dbo.c2f, that's it. Remove @c as well. Yeah, now select it and execute.
Last law. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So, guys, please work on the class notes and please practice the codes and ask me questions regarding any issues. Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
everyone. We'll catch up tomorrow. Good night.
Yeah.
Good night,
Good
sir.
night. Vinay.